that is fatal because it refers to two different individuals. Definitely, Gerald Bantag E. Soriano is not our client. It is Gerald Bantag E. Kitalig. The panel already allowed appearance through Zoom. So it can be through Zoom, it can be by personal. But just like the other respondents, the panel is also concerned about the security of these people involved. He's in Baguio.
Is he hiding? In hiding?
No, he's not in hiding. He's there joining the community.
From the nation's capital, all sides, all the time, I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Riza Diaz. The big story tonight.
Suspended Bucor Chief Gerald Bantag was a no-show during Wednesday's preliminary investigation at the Justice Department.
Now, the DOJ panel of prosecutors has decided to reset the preliminary investigation to a wrong detail in the subpoena issued to Bantag. Marlene Alcaide with a big story.
Expecting him to attend the preliminary investigation into the murder of broadcaster Percy Lapid. However, the embattled general did not show up at the hearing. He was instead represented by his legal counsel, attorney Rocky Balisong. His camp raised an error in Bantag's middle name indicated in the subpoena issued against him.
It is fatal. That is fatal because it refers to two different individuals. Definitely, Gerald Bantag E. Soriano is not our client. It is Gerald Bantag E. Kitalig. What we received last November 21 is a subpoena not intended for our client. It was intended for one Gerald Bantag E. Soriano.
Because of this, no submission of counter-affidavit was made. Bantag's alleged right-hand man Bucor officer Ricardo Zulueta was also a no-show. He also did not send a lawyer to represent him.
No submission of counter-affidavits, then we will know whether they will submit counter-affidavits in the next scheduled hearing, December 5, 1 p.m.
Percy's brother Roy Mabasa said he still hopes that Zulueta will soon come out in the open.
No sign, but medyo meron na tayong mga sinusundan na lead according to the PNP. Mayroon silang sinusundan eh.
So, ibig sabihin para sa inyo buhay pa? Kasi may speculations po.
I think so.
Other respondents to the case attended the hearing via video conferencing due to security concerns. Self-confessed gunman Joel Escorial and the sister of alleged middleman Jun Villamor were also present. The next preliminary investigation is scheduled on December 5. For News 5, Marlene Alcaide, we are One News.
And here to give us his thoughts on the latest developments on the preliminary investigation into the Percy Lapid murder case, we have with us Roy Mabasa, the brother of Percy Lapid. Good evening. Welcome to the big story, Mr. Mabasa.
Good evening, Robbie, and good evening, Risa.
First of all, this matter of the middle name being different in the subpoena, gaano kalaking bagay po yan? And I guess more basics to a lot of people is how could something like that happen?
Yeah, every delay, Robbie, is considered as injustice to our family. Alam mo naman, siyempre, one day is napaka-importante sa amin because we're counting days since the death of Percy. That's 51 days ago. So, dito, kahit na konting delay lang, talagang nakaka-apektong labis sa pamilya.
Okay, now on the matter of Mr. Bantag being a no-show, were you surprised by this?
Yeah, of course. But, you know, on the sideline, meron tayong kausap na mga police officers. No? We're trying to get into the real picture kung si Mr. Zulueta nga ba ay buhay pa. No? So I understand meron namang lead na sinusundan yung ating police, and I'm just hoping that siguro in the next few days or few weeks, we'll be able to get a breakthrough from the investigators.
Mr. Mabasa, you mentioned Mr. Zulueta, there's no word yet. Wala pa po tayong narinig. How is this affecting the case?
Gaya nung sinabi ko kanina, no, every day na madelay yan, it counts a lot to our, lalo na sa aming biktima. No? Masyado na kaming apektado. Kahit yung simple error na yan na nangyari dyan sa pagsiserve ng subpoena, is somewhat disheartening for us this morning. But nevertheless, we're still pinning our hopes na yung justice will prevail at the end.
In the meantime po, are there any new developments in the case that you are aware of? We are getting reports, for example, that the NBI is set to file and to submit supplemental evidence. What might this be about?
Yeah, I actually saw those pieces of evidence na isusumiti sana ng NBI kanina, no? But it was not submitted due to that preparation issue. Hindi sila masyadong kakukuha lang kasi ng ebidensya, so kailangan nila ng a little time to be able to to put it in order, then ibigay sa bawat party na involved dito sa case na to. But I saw it. It concerns it will strengthen more yung kaso namin, especially dito sa kay Mr. Bacoto, no? Because I understand si Mr. Bacoto in his affidavit the last hearing, dininay niya completely yung kanyang participation. So I think itong ebidensya ng NBI will be very strong. It will prove na nagsisinungaling si Mr. Bacoto.
Mr. Mabasa, the hearing is reset to December 5. How confident are you, sir, that finally this will push through? Mr. Mabasa? Mr. Mabasa? All right.
Parang naputol na yung...
I'm sorry. Naputol po tayo. Ayun nga, sabi ko kanina, I think yung ebidensyang ihahain pa lang ng NBI will strengthen our case, especially doon sa party ni Mr. Bacoto, yung alleged another middleman. Na the last time nag-submit siya ng affidavit, generally, dinideny niya yung kanyang participation. But yung isasubmit ng NBI will prove him wrong.
All right. Thank you. Maraming salamat, Mr. Roy Mabasa, brother of Percy Lapid. Now, after the break, we'll be speaking with Partido Federal National President and South Cotabato Governor Reynaldo Tamayo Jr. to discuss the expulsion of former Executive Secretary Vic Rodriguez from the party. That and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
The U.S. government's attempt to ban products linked to forced labor in China contains a loophole, and Shein, the Chinese fast fashion giant, is slipping through it. Bloomberg News had these Shein garments tested in a lab, and it found that they were made with cotton from China's Xinjiang region. The U.S. government's banned cotton imports from Xinjiang last year and considers all products from there to be made with forced labor. The United Nations has said China's treatment of the Uyghur people, who are predominantly Muslim, may constitute crimes against humanity. The U.S. ban sent American retailers into a frenzy to prove that they don't source cotton from Xinjiang. But Shein has fallen under the radar due to what's called the de minimis trade exemption. Individual shipments to customers fall below the $800 value threshold that triggers reporting requirements to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, meaning Shein avoids the scrutiny applied to bulk imports. In a statement, Shein didn't deny that the cotton comes from Xinjiang, but said it has taken steps to ensure they comply with local laws and regulations. The crackdown presents a challenge. Acknowledging its cotton comes from Xinjiang would risk alienating consumers. Denying it would risk angering China's government, which rejects allegations of forced labor, saying they're only jobs creations programs. For U.S. policymakers, Shein's position demonstrates the limits of government attempts to keep the products of forced labor out of the domestic market. Shein is on track to sell $8 billion worth of clothing in the U.S. this year, about a third of its business worldwide. Labor activists and U.S. apparel retailers are calling for more awareness of the company's labor practices and for Congress and the administration to act. products linked to forced labor in China contains a loophole, and Shein, the Chinese fast fashion giant, is slipping through it. Bloomberg News had these Shein garments tested in a lab, and it found that they were made with cotton from China's Xinjiang region. The U.S. government's banned cotton imports from Xinjiang last year and considers all products from there to be made with forced labor. The United Nations has said China's treatment of the Uyghur people, who are predominantly Muslim, may constitute crimes against humanity. The U.S. ban sent American retailers into a frenzy to prove that they don't source cotton from Xinjiang. But Shein has fallen under the radar due to what's called the de minimis trade exemption. Individual shipments to customers fall below the $800 value threshold that triggers reporting requirements to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, meaning Shein avoids the scrutiny applied to bulk imports. In a statement, Shein didn't deny that the cotton comes from Xinjiang, but said it has taken steps to ensure they comply with local laws and regulations. The crackdown presents a challenge.
Now, after being kicked out of Partido Federal, former Executive Secretary Vic Rodriguez accuses his former party mates of lobbying for key government posts while he was still in Malacanang. Rodriguez also believes that the president did not take part in his expulsion from the party. Camille Samonte with the report.
Former Executive Secretary Vic Rodriguez fires back at the Partido Federal ng Pilipinas for kicking him out as a member and Executive Vice President of the party. Recall that PFP expelled Rodriguez earlier this month after being, quote, an incompetent and notoriously undesirable public servant. But in an interview with the chiefs, Rodriguez said that some members of Partido Federal asked to be appointed to key government positions while he was still in Malacanang. He added that he was not served a copy of the expulsion order, which bore a date when President Ferdinand Marcos was out of the country.
It was served through the media. So sabi ko nga, media play ito. And purposely, it's a continuing vilification campaign against me.
The former Little President also said the sugar fiasco and his supposed falling out with the palace had nothing to do with his resignation.
Wala akong ibang makitang dahilan kundi yung appointments na hindi na pagbigyan. Now, ayun nga, simpleng-simple sa kanila, feeling entitled na kami nagpakahirap. Hindi ho kayo lamang ang nagpakahirap. Mas maraming tao ang higit na ang hirap at itinulong para sa tagumpay ng kampanya.
But the Partido Federal ng Pilipinas is standing by its move. In an interview with 1PH1 Balita Pilipinas, PFP Secretary General Tom Lantion said Rodriguez was given several chances to respond to issues. But Lantion said Rodriguez failed to defend himself against allegations of abuse and trust and disloyalty.
He was given 48 hours to answer. Ngayon, hindi naman siya sumagot. So, ang naging desisyon po ng Directorate at ng Execom, bigyan po ng isang pagkakataon muli. Yung unang pinadalang registered mail, hindi po sinagot. So, sa second, yung LBC naman para second chance yung sagutin, hindi rin sumagot. Kaya, dahil walang na-receive na sagot, yun po ay binigay sa ating arbitration committee at Directorate upang i-declare siya in default.
Lantion also added President Marcos did not object to the expulsion of Rodriguez from the party.
Pinaalam po namin sa kanya, hindi naman siya nag-object. Paalam po sa ating mahal na Pangulo, ang Pangulong Partido Federal ng Pilipinas, si Gobernador Tamayo Jr.
For News 5, Camille Samonte, We Are One News.
To talk to us more about Rodriguez's expulsion from Partido Federal, we have with us via Zoom South Cotabato Governor Reynaldo Tamayo Jr. He is the National President of the Partido Federal ng Pilipinas. Good evening, Governor Tamayo. Welcome po to The Big Story.
Magandang gabi po. Magandang gabi po sa inyo at sa ating mga tagapanood, mga tagapakinig. Isang magandang gabi sa ating lahat.
Magandang gabi po ulit sa inyo. Sir, kung pwede po, bigyan nyo lang po ng linaw pa itong eksena na naipaabot kinonsulta kay President Marcos Executive Committee Resolution to expel Executive Secretary, the former Executive Secretary, Vic Rodriguez. Nabanggit po kanina, the President had no objections But did he support it? Did he say that he understood and accepted the reasons for the expulsion?
Meron tayong internal procedure na kung saan nagdidesisyon ng EXICOM base sa desisyon ng legal natin at yun nga na-desisyonan dahil nga binigyan naman ng enough time na sasagot si Attorney Vic Rodriguez at hindi naman siya sumagot. Although mawag siya sa akin, sinabi ko nga, hindi na ako susubukan kung paano magawa ng paraan na maayos. Pero ang naging problema kasi noon, nagdesisyon na ang EXICOM at hindi na rin siya sumagot. At sabi niya nga na magre-resign naman daw siya. At sabi niya sa mga interview niya, ay wala rin siyang balak na spontaneous complaint na naisubite sa legal department ng Partido Federal ng Pilipinas. So nung naisubmit ng legal department yung kanilang findings and suggestions sa decision ng EXICOM, ito ay pinag-aralan mabuti ng EXICOM at yun nga naging desisyon nung nakaraang November 11 pa. Matagal na pero ngayon lang lumabas dahil nga ang desisyong ito ay supposedly internal issue na sa loob mismo ng Partido Federal ng Pilipinas. It's not actually a public consumption.
Governor, nagbigay po ng panayam si Attorney Rodriguez na meron na nga pong mga miyembro ng inyong partido na baka hindi po napagbigyan sa kanila pong mga hiling. Kaya ito po ang pinag-ugatan nitong pagkakatanggal po niya sa partido. Your reaction to this?
Sa tingin ko hindi naman. Although yung iba talaga, meron nagsasabi na Attorney Vic, bakit hindi mo lang kami na-endorse. Pero hindi ito naging basyan kung bakit nagbibigay ng disciplinary action ang Partido Federal ng Pilipinas. At hindi lang ito ang kauna-unahan ginawa ng partido. Ginawa rin namin ito before sa ilang mga membro ng EXICOM ng partido. Kaya nga lang, hindi nga lang na-broadcast dahil nga ang issue na ito na pagpapalit ng mga leadership sa loob ng partido ay dapat internal issue at for the consumption of party members and party leadership. Kaya nga lang ito'y lumabas pero sinasabi ko sa inyo na isa sa mga naging rason ay kailangan talaga namin ng tao na yung desire niya sa pagsiservisyo, especially sa partido, ay andyan, walang mga bahid ng issue, walang bahid na kung anuman. At kami nagpadala ng mga invitasyon sa EXICOM para si Mindanao Island Conference, Visayas Island Conference, ay hindi naman sumipot ang Executive Vice President mismo natin. Kung kaya't sabi namin, siguro nararapat na rin at napapanahon na rin. Sabi niya nga, matagal na sana siya nag-resign. Ibig sabihin, wala na po sa loob niya at wala na rin sa kanyang eagerness magtrabaho para sa Partido Federal ng Pilipinas. Dahil pag nasa loob ka ng partido, it's a purely voluntarism. Volunteer ito. Kahit nga sinasabi namin na kung wala na yung desire mo, kailangan na rin namin magpalit ng mga leadership. Dahil napapanahon na kailangan na namin yung expansion and strengthening ng partido namin at kailangan namin yung mag-handle ng ilang mga key positions sa partido ay dapat andoon yung desire and eagerness para sa pagpapalakas o sasama sa partido na palakasin ang ating partido.
Pero Governor, sabi nga po ni Attorney Rodriguez, kung yun yung paratang, sabi niya, tatanggapin ko naman yun because he was saying essentially the same line that's been used many times, that essentially he was saying my loyalty to the party ends where my duty to the country begins. He did not say that, but essentially he was saying nasa gobyerno na ako, pinagsisilbihan ko na ang Pangulo. Ang tanong na lang po siguro is, ang paratang niyo po ay disloyalty. Ano po ba ang halimbawa niyo ng disloyalty ni Attorney Rodriguez? Dahil doon po sa Executive Committee resolution na lumabas, parang yun nga po mismo yung lumalabas. What was spelled out there was, marami kaming recommend mula sa partido namin na hindi naman na-appoint. Mr. Rodriguez is calling that a sense of entitlement that is clearly for him a matter of ethics, a matter of professionalism, not necessarily a matter of loyalty.
Actually, ang sinasabi namang disloyalty to the party, we have these principles in Partido Federal ng Pilipinas. Some of the principles maybe ay napakan niya na rin mula sa posisyon siya. Base sa analysis na meron ang ating legal at ang EXICOM. May mga basis naman kami, pero palagi kong sinasabi, whatever basis that we have, it's purely confidential and for party consumption only. Kaya nga sinasabi ko, whatever the decision of EXICOM, may pinagbabasihan niya na dumaan niya sa proseso. Remember, that was September 18, nung pinadalan siya at napilan siya ng kaso. Hindi nga umabot sa EXICOM level, nasa legal division lang pumasok. At hanggang binigyan siya ng pagkakataon na sumagot. At siya nga mismo unang tumawag sa akin na ipaalam na mayroong complaint sa kanya. At sabi ko nga, ano ba yan? At susubukan natin pag-usapan. Pero yung nga lang, medyo mabibigat yung paratang. Nag-expect rin ako na sasagutin siya sa mga issues. Pero sabi niya nga ay plano niya na rin mag-resign kung kinakailangan. Sabi ko naman, kung gano'n naman pala yung direction, sabi ko, ay hindi mo talaga pinanindigan kung anong principles na meron tayo. So yung mga issues na yan, disloyalty, ano man yung mga issues na yan, merong mga batayan ang partido kung paano ito, paano namin tininan at kung paano nabuo ang desisyon na yon. Pagdating naman sa appointment, napakarami na po ng membro ng Partido Federal ng Pilipinas na pasok na po sa administrasyong Bongbong Marcos. Marami naman nakapasok at siyempre yung iba hindi pa man nakapasok, pero kung hindi naman ko sa tingin naman namin qualified, hindi, sinasabihan naman matagal pa, marami pa mga vacant position nandun. Pero hindi naman kami namimilit dahil sabi ko nga, palagi ko itong sinasabi, hindi lang sa mga tao, kundi sa mga membro mismo namin. Sabi ko sa kanila, pinanalo natin, tumulong tayo sa kandidatura ng ating Pangulo Bongbong Marcos. Wala sa ating pag-uusap na pag makaupo.
Governor? Mukhang naputol po ang signal natin kay Governor. In the meantime, we will continue our conversations with Governor Tamayo later on the chiefs immediately after the big story. And after this break, we will talk about how Filipinos could still enjoy the upcoming Noche Buena now that many holiday staple food have hiked prices. That and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
Hardest part for me as somebody being on the organization side of layoffs is that you know that people's lives are at stake, and if you are an empathetic person, which I, for better or worse, am, you can't help but think about the impact that this is going to have on the people who have a job one day and not the next day.
This is Camilla Boyer. She had the misfortune of working at 3 companies in the space of 9 months that did layoffs. While there is definitely not a good way of firing people, there is absolutely a bad way.
There's 3 really important things to bear in mind. First of all, don't fire a mass number of people over Zoom or over email. Don't diminish their contributions to the company. Make sure you're showing gratitude for the time and effort and love in lots of cases that people have put into their jobs at that company. It's much harder to trust a leader who isn't capable of owning their own fallibility than it is to trust one who will own up to their mistakes and be willing to kind of take that on board and move forward. Accountability, empathy, closure. It's really important to treat the people who are being laid off with that respect, giving the people impacted a chance to say goodbye, treating them in that human way and not just cutting them off from every system right away goes a long way towards the experience of both the people who are leaving and the people who are remaining in terms of that ability to move on.
You're still watching The Big Story here on One News. Prices of Noche Buena items have gone up with just a month left until Christmas. The Trade Department says all they can do for now is to appeal to manufacturers to ease up on price hikes. Shaila Francisco tells us more.
Fruit salad, ham, and queso de bola. These are some of the staples in every Filipino family's Noche Buena. Consumers may have to spend more for these items though, as some have gone up by 50 centavos to as much as 42 pesos a month before Christmas. Question is, can you still enjoy Noche Buena with a limited budget? That's what we tried to find out when we went out for grocery today. With a budget of 1,000 pesos for a family, we first bought ingredients for spaghetti. The cheapest we can find is this 400-gram noodle, which is around 39 pesos, up from last year's 33 pesos. Spaghetti sauce, meanwhile, starts at 46 pesos. And ground pork to top it costs around 83 pesos. We also bought ham. However, since some brands now reach almost 900 pesos, we settled for a 313 peso ham. We also included chicken at 220 pesos. Of course, who can forget the must-have dessert, the fruit salad? The largest size of fruit cocktail is at 288 pesos. That's why we went for the smaller size at 81 pesos each. For all-purpose cream, we were surprised that a 250 ml size from a known brand now costs 75 pesos. Whatever's left of our budget, we used to buy cheese at 55 pesos. In total, I spent around 994 pesos and 50 centavos. But I wasn't able to spend on queso de bola, sandwich spread, elbow macaroni, and tomato sauce, all of which hiked prices. The Trade Department notes that these price guides do not fall under the suggested retail price since they are not considered basic necessities. But DTI says they are in contact with food manufacturers to ease the burden on consumers.
Kinakausap din namin yung mga manufacturers para yung mga products na binibili ng karamihan, alalayan lang yung pagtataas. Reduce the price of their products that are meant for the mass market. Kasi karamihan ng mga producers, meron namang range eh. Meron yung mura, meron yung mahal.
The DTI advises consumers to take advantage of promo bundles which are cheaper by as much as 70 pesos. Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
For the big stories in sports, volleyball teams gear up for the PVL semifinals, while over in the UAAP, the DLSU Lady Archers snapped the Lady Bulldogs' historic 108-game winning streak. Gretchen Ho with the report.
F2 Cargo Movers finished strong in the last day of eliminations in the PVL Reinforced Conference. F2 dominated the first two frames from the get-go and prevented a late third set rally from the defending champions, Petrogas. The Cargo Movers swept the Angels in 3 sets, 25-16, 25-22, and 27-25. Lindsay Sauzer led the way for F2 with 22 points. Calais Mao, who was missing in their last game against the Akari Chargers, returned to action and delivered 20 points for the win. F2 ends their PVL campaign with a 4-4 win-loss card.
Will serve 5 points.
Meanwhile, the Signal HG Spikers booked the last semifinals ticket against the Choco Mucho Flying Titans in 4 sets. The Flying Titans got the early lead in the first set, dominating the HG Spikers 17-25. But foreign guest player Tai Beira powered the HG Spikers in the second set. In the third frame, Signal continued its run against Choco Mucho. Now at the 13-6 mark, Choco Mucho's top scorer Kat Tolentino was escorted out after a left knee injury. And moments Moments later, wing spiker Des Cheng was also out due to a finger injury, allowing the Signal HE Spikers to end the set at 25-18. The HE Spikers was just too much for the struggling Titans in the final set as they grabbed the win 25-14. Signal only needed 2-set wins to march to the semifinals. The PVL semifinals begins Thursday with the Petrogas Angels versus the Creamline Cool Smashers at 2:30 p.m. and the Signal HE Spikers versus Cherry Tigo at 5:30 p.m. Over in the UAAP, the De La Salle Lady Archers shattered the NU Lady Bulldogs 108-game winning streak. The Lady Archers handed the Lady Bulldogs their first loss since October 2013, which was also won by the DLSU squad. Fina Chuido led the Lady Archers with 14 points and 19 rebounds to stage the upset in overtime 61-57. Gretchen Ho, We Are One News.
Now for the latest on the PBA, you can watch the games live for just 100 pesos. Signal prepaid load of 100 lets you watch the PBA Rush or PBA Rush in high definition for free. You can also catch 39 other channels for 30 days. Load now at your nearest retailer or load online via Shopee, Maya, GCash, and Load Central. Hurry though, because PBA Rush is available only until December 31.
And that's the big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. You may also log on to One News PH for more in-depth analysis. I'm Robbie Alampay.
The big story is also available via Signal Play app. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Stay safe, Philippines.
We are One News. All sides, all the time.